Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. La haula wala quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Okay, very good evening to Brother Shahran and our so far 18 participants to our third class of Islamic Epistemology and Worldview for Development Management. Okay, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given permission for us to until today, until tonight, to increase more of our knowledge, make some sharing and also muzakarah, inshallah. So for today, inshallah, I will share my screen. Okay. All right. So today will be the third class of Islamic Epistemology and Worldview for Development Management, and I decide to first discuss on the basic principles of development management, which I will focus on Islamic-based development management. Before going into deeper discussion on Islamic epistemology and worldview, okay, as was presented before, okay. Today will be the third module for this topic, Islamic epistemology and worldview, and inshallah, after this we'll be discussing more on the Islamic worldview and Islamic epistemology, and to look at the uniqueness of this, of Islamic epistemology and Islamic worldview for development management. I will first discuss the conventional understanding of worldview and epistemology for the next class, inshallah. Okay, so for today, we will look at the basic principles of development management, as we have learned before, the definition of development management and what are the state of art for the conventional development management. So today we will look at Islamic-based development management with focus on the basic principles of development management. Okay, so this is also to share with all of you that the topic Islamic epistemology and worldview for development management is actually the title of a textbook run project which we received from IIIT, and it is deemed to finish, inshallah, to complete, inshallah, next year. So make dua, inshallah, so that this textbook will be able to publish according to schedule, inshallah. Okay, for Module 3, the content for today is strictly on the 7 basic principles of development management, which is the mold of development management, the actors, okay, the discussion on the actor of development management, the time scale, the framework, the methodology, the means, and the ultimate goal. Okay, so these are the 7 principles which has been outlined by our professor at the Center for Islamic Development Management Studies in his staff. This is his book, but at the moment it is in Bahasa Malaysia. which the titles 7 Prinsip Pembangunan Berteraskan Islam, the 7 Principles of Islamic-Based Development, which was published in 2003. Okay, so basically my lecture for this evening will be greatly refer to this book. Okay, dominantly refer from this book. Okay, so we've looked into last week. We've looked into the conventional development management. Okay, and we can see there are some issues. Yeah, some issues pertaining the conventional development management, whereby we some of the issues are poverty, and also lack of human resource empowerment, lack of lack of there are so many issues, okay, which were actually due to in the 1980s and also in the 1990s, where the development and also the management of the development are more focused on liberalization of trade and also privatization. So this bring into so many problems of it did give advantage to the developed countries, but it also bring more disadvantages to the developing countries. So that what happened. And last week, I could not remember who, but someone did ask me on post-normal times from Ziauddin Sardar, okay, which the issues of development and the issues of development management has closely related to what has been conceptualized by Dr. Ziauddin Sardar in his post-normal time. Okay, post-normal time, where he said that what happens now is due to problematic decision making, okay, made 20-30 years back, which now it came to risk the individual, the society, the planet, where we have so many problems regarding poverty, unemployment, environmental, and such and so. Okay, and this is actually was discussed by him. Okay, all right. If we can look into this, it was published in 2010. Can you see this? I hope you can see. Okay, in the futures. Okay, welcome to post-normal times. All right. Okay, in 2010, where he said here, all that was normal has now evaporated. We have entered post-normal times for in-between period where old orthodoxies are dying. The new ones have not yet emerged. Okay, and nothing really makes sense. To have any notion of viable future, we must grasp the significance of this period of transition, which is characterized by 3 C's: complexity, chaos, and contradictions. These forces propel and sustain post-normal times, leading to uncertainty and different types of ignorance that make decision-making problematic and increase risk to individuals, society, and the planet. Post-normal times demands, this paper argues, that we abandon the ideas of control and management and rethink the cherished notions of progress, modernization, and efficiency. The way forward must be based on virtues of humility, modesty, and accountability, the indispensable requirement of living with uncertainty, complexity, and ignorance. We will have to imagine ourselves out of post-normal times into a new age of normalcy with an ethical compass and a broad spectrum of imagination with the rich diversity of human cultures. Okay, so he said 10 years ago, okay, on whereby, okay, there will be three kinds of tomorrows, okay, where, all right, okay, three kinds of tomorrow: the extended present, the familiar futures, and the unthought futures. Okay, the extended present is actually what we deem, or we can expect to happen if we stay the way we are for the next 10 to 20 years. Okay, that will be what will happen. Familiar futures are the ones that we used to imagine, but we say it is kind of awkward for it to happen. For example, having a robot that looks like human. Okay, last time we can only see this in the movies. In the movies where we have the Machina movies, the Terminator, okay, and now we can see Sophia, where the robot, we have human kinds of robots, but we also have another tomorrow, the unthought futures. The unthought futures where we realize that this could happen, okay, this could happen, but we either tend to ignore it, that it will happen one day, or because of a very deep uncertainty. Okay, and this is what is happening now. Okay, we were once used to going for progress, going for modernity, and what we get is actually a more portion of poverty, okay, more portion of unemployment, a more portion of crisis, social crisis and all. And that is the extended present and the familiar future. And also now, as the COVID-19 pandemic has arise, these are the unthought future where we did not see it coming. Okay, but we know someday where all the powerfuls can no longer use the power onto something. Okay, and we never thought it as a pandemic. Okay, we never thought it as a pandemic. Some of us maybe put a lot of budget into the defense system, maybe thinking that it will be the terrorism. Okay, but we never think that COVID-19 has already changed us. Okay, that is an example of the unthought future. But saying at this, okay, actually, this is all due to what we decide to do with our development. Okay, what we use to shape the paradigm that we implement, we use, or being the root of the development that we choose. Okay, either the familiar future that is happening, or maybe more unthought future that is coming, that we could not imagine, will change us, will change our social characteristic, will change our economy, will change how we socialize with each other. All right. So being understanding this situation, okay, on the problems that were raised by the current development, and also, okay, the uncertainties that is happening, the uncertainties that we don't know, and also the ignorance. Okay, it is important to look or to study on the details of what is the most correct or most suitable paradigm that we should use, especially as Muslim, in managing development or in developing our nation, in building our civilization. What is actually the paradigm that we should use? Okay, definitely. Okay, definitely. the with ethics, development full of ethics, and also relating ourselves with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Okay, the best one, or the most suitable one for Muslim is, it should be the Islamic worldview. Okay, the Islamic paradigm, the paradigm that comes from the Islamic framework itself. Okay, so that will take us to our first principle of development management, that is the mold of development management. The mold that should shape the development management that we are trying to build, that we are trying to develop. Okay. Okay, I try to zoom a little bit. Okay. All right.
Please unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay. So I'm not sure. Can anyone hear me just now?
Please, yeah. I also forgot to.
Oh, I see.
Now
Okay.
we hear. Yeah, we missed you the first minute. 1 minute.
The first 1 minute. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So all right. Okay.
Okay, from that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we want to build development management for the Muslims, or Islamic-based development management construct, it is rightful only to use the Islamic worldview as the mold. Okay, not paradigms or mold from the neoclassical philosophy or radical philosophy, which makes the capitalism system or maybe the socialism system. Rightfully, it should be Islamic worldview to be the mold of development management. As defined by Muhammad Naqib Al-Attas, okay, what is meant by Islamic worldview? It's actually the vision of reality and truth that appears before our mind's eye, revealing what existence is all about. What existence is all about, meaning the human existence, the world existence, okay? Everything, okay? Everything in reality, what is it all about, okay? And in its totality, not only as perceived by our physical appearance, but in totality. That is what Islam is projecting. So that is the definition by Muhammad Naqib Al-Attas. And he also come up with the characteristics of the Islamic worldview, okay, from the same reference to an authenticity and a finality that points out to what is ultimate, and it projects a view of reality and truth, both, okay, reality and truth, that encompasses existence and life altogether in total perspective, okay, whose fundamental elements are permanently established, not as human perceived, not as we just experimented, or not the ones that we can rationalize, okay. These are to mention the most salient ones: the nature of God, of revelation, that is the Al-Quran, and of his creation, okay, of man and the psychology of the human soul, of knowledge, of religion, of freedom, of values and virtues, of happiness, all of which together with the key terms and concept they unfold have profound bearing upon our ideas about change, development and progress. So, what is meant by Islamic worldview from Muhammad Naqib Al-Atta's definition is that the real thing, the truth, not as only perceived by our human beings, because we as human, we have our limitation in in the things that we can perceive. Okay, we sometimes there are intangible things that not all of us can see or can perceive. Okay, there are also spiritual elements. Okay, there are also a non-physical, non-material elements that is also exist in this world. So, in the Islamic worldview, which is why it is important for us to use the Islamic worldview as the mold, because in development, we do not only focus on the physical development per se. We should also, or we would also want to develop our inner self, okay, our iman, our level of iman, our level of to make our level of nafs a better ones. Okay, so in the conventional paradigm, these intangible aspects cannot be perceived, and so it is often being neglected. Okay, being neglected. I'm not saying that they neglect the intangible aspects 100%, because actually the conventional also they have their aspect of spirituality, but basically it covers things like happiness, okay, things like what a person can feel or experience, okay, but beyond that, so they cannot obtain anything beyond that. So it is important to go back to the Islamic worldview. Okay, for the second principle, okay, for the second principle of Islamic-based development management, okay, is that human being is the actor of development management. Okay, actually, in the conventional development management, human being is also being understood as the actor of development management. It is actually the same point. Okay, for conventional, they also regard human being as the actor of development management. Okay, however, human being in the development management, in the conventional understanding, in the conventional paradigm, is merely understood as Homo economicus. We have discussed last week on the function of man in conventional economy, especially in conventional development, usually circle around the consumption aspect, circle around the production aspect. Okay, so anything that is related to economy, and also human beings are treated as such pseudo-human being, which sometimes perceived as what can be seen only, the physical aspects of human being. Okay, their work resources, okay, their productivity. So, however, in Islam, we are known that a human being is not only born only to carry out stereotype and worldly functions, yeah, to work, to produce, to consume, but human beings carry out a more greater function than that, okay, a higher status than that. So this has been outlined in the Quran, in the Surah Al-Zariyah, okay, verse 56, where human being is being regarded as a servant of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, with which the main function is to worship Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and that is the vertical relationship of man, which is invisible in the conventional development management. And another status, another function of human being is being the Khalifah of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the vicegerent of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, which is stated in Al-Baqarah, verse 30. This is the horizontal relationship aspects, or the Hablum Minan Nas aspect. The vertical relationship is the Hablum Minallah aspect, which with these both dimensions of relationship, making human being in the Islamic development management as more complete, more holistic, and more comprehensive as compared to the conventional. Okay, so when we look at human and we look at the problems, we look at their issues, okay, we have to understand that it does not only relate to the physical problems. Mostly it comes from the inner self, where the spirituality, the problems come from the spiritual aspect, okay, and the inner aspect of human beings, where the desires, the nafs, the level of iman. This has been usually neglected in the conventional development management. So in the Islamic worldview and the Islamic epistemology, we can see in the Quran, the function of human in development is not just only relate to the physical aspects, okay, and the task that has been given to man, okay, has been stated in the Surah Al-A'raf, verse 172, where we are supposed to have a contract with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, saying that we will worship Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So in order to maintain the status, okay, all along during development, all along during managing development, so we have to look at the level of our faith, and we also have to always cleanse or tazkiyah an-nafs, okay, tazkiyah an-nafs, cleanse our desire into a better level of nafs, which has been said in the Quran, nafsul mutmainnah, okay, nafsul mutmainnah, where with this level of spirituality, okay, we can manage development in a more harmonious way, okay, in a more ethical way, in a more humility way, okay. So that is the difference, okay, being actors of development, both in conventional and also in Islam, the human beings, but the concept of man is different in conventional and also in Islam. How the worldview of man, how we view the reality of man is different between conventional and the Islamic aspect. So in Islam, okay, the actor of development, okay, the actor of management, we should see it as not only it consists of Ruhul Hayah, okay, the elements that makes human being alive, but also in the human we have Ruhul Tamayyiz, which have the emotions, okay, the iman, the faith, That is making the man more holistic and comprehensive in implementing and practicing development. So with that, the Ruhul Tamayyiz, we should look into the elements of man, not only at the physical aspect, but also the akal and also the spiritual aspect. So that is the second principle of development management. Okay, for the third one, okay, the time scale of development management. Okay, the time scale of development management. All right. Okay. The big difference between the conventional and the Islamic is actually the conventional is focused, the scope of conventional development is at the dunya, okay, at the dunya part. So, okay, maybe here, yeah, here and here, they take into account, but not in the Malakut where in the Surah Al-A'raf, where we have promised to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that we will uphold Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala as God. And in our mother's womb, this is the transition time, okay, and then we go to dunya, and our life will not just end here, okay. Anything that we do, that be it good or bad, will be taken into account at the akhirah. So this is also the big difference in the worldview of the time scale of development management, okay. In the Malakut time, that is the designation of a blueprint of human life, okay, to uphold Iman and Islam. And then in the dunya, it is the realization of the contract that we've made, okay. And in the akhirah, where the rewards, the ultimate accomplishment of success, okay, is being given to us. So the time scale also is different, okay. The worldview of the conventional and the worldview of the Islamic development and Islamic management. So therefore, if we see, okay, the development in the conventional aspect, okay, they would do perhaps anything, yeah, because dunya is the end, okay, the ultimate aim, yeah, to become the most developed, the most consumed, the most productive, the most competitive, okay. There's no other time after the dunya in the conventional development management. So that is the difference. For the fourth principle, okay, the framework of development management would be mainly from the knowledge or the epistemology of Islam, where it comes from, okay, some might say that development is the fard kifayah aspect, but actually it comes from the individual obligatory aspect, the fardu ain, yeah, the fardu ain, which consists of the akidah, the sharia and akhlaq. Only with the akidah, yeah, tawheed, the belief of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, we will rise and develop ourselves, develop our family, develop our community, develop our state and all. And we will develop according to the rules and regulation that has been outlined by the Sharia. So that is the basics framework of Islamic development management. And in the Islamic development management, okay, the aspects of akhlaq is also important, okay. It's very important. It's not just only for the rules and regulation, the tawhid, but also we have to uphold the akhlaq or the tasawwuf element. So these are the individual obligations, okay, in developing oneself, in developing the society. And when it comes to the society, when it comes to a community, there becomes the fardu kifayah aspect. Okay, the fardu kifayah, where we make development in a greater way. Okay, we build institutions, okay, for our community, the masjid, and also other institutions and schools. Okay, so it comes, the framework, the basic framework comes from the fardu ain knowledge. Okay, fardu ain knowledge to uphold akidah, to uphold sharia, to uphold akhlaq. That's why we rise to develop ourselves, rise to develop the family, the society, and to a bigger aspect of human life. Okay, and the fifth principle, okay, is the methodology of development management. So we have the time scale, we have the actors, we have the framework, okay, we have the worldview. How are we supposed to develop? What is the method that we can use to develop and manage the development? Okay, so as the status or our basic function is to worship Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Okay, so and from the fourth principle, okay, the realization of worship is through knowledge, okay, basic knowledge, fardu ain knowledge, and also fardu kifayah. So with knowledge, we can also know the exact method of realizing our duty as a servant of Allah in development. Okay, so that is how ibadah has become the methodology for Islamic development management, because every aspect of our ibadah, okay, has an outline, has a guidance in how we can realize our ibadah, whether the individual obligations, okay, our salat fardu, our siyam, okay, zakat and hajj, and also the commendable practices of worship. Okay, it has been outlined on how to practice every detail, in every detail. So also in social obligations, okay, social obligations, how we work, how we eat, how we go to make social obligations, others, okay, it has been outlined very detailed, okay, very detailed, very comprehensive. That's why ibadah or ibadah is the aspect that encompasses every aspect of our life. Okay, we can sleep, and it can be an ibadah to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala if we follow the rules, if we follow the method. We can eat, and it is an ibadah to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. It is a form of development if we follow the rules. Okay, and how to follow the rules? What are the conditions? Okay, basically all of the ibadah, all of our actions, okay, can be assumed, can be taken into account as an ibadah, okay, with the intentions that we can relate to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We work, we relate our intention to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, because this is what Allah wants us to do. This is what that can make us have halal rizq to give our family nafkah. So with good intentions, with intentions that we can relate to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, with the mardatillah, then it can become ibadah. the substance. The substance mean the thing that we done, the thing that we do as ibadah is stated as a rightful thing to do. Like for example, to do business, okay, to learn, to teach, okay, to lead, to involve in politics, okay. Is there any substance that has been stated in Islam? If it's so, then it is permissible, and it can be taken as ibadah. But how about taking riba? That is a substance that is haram in Islam. So it is not assumed as ibadah. The implementation, if you want to do business, they have guidance. Okay, we have to for our capital, we have to use financial our capital that is free from riba, and we have ethics in relationship with our employee, with our employer. So the implementation, if it is rightful, then it can be an ibadah. The consequences, okay, if we do development, if it comes to good consequences, okay, it can be an ibadah. But if what we do gives very bad consequences to humankind, for example, so then it cannot be assumed as ibadah. And lastly, the basics, which is we cannot, for example, in doing business, we cannot leave our 5 times daily prayer, our fast, our zakat, and also hajj. So if we leave the basics, ibadah, in order to do our daily ibadah, the commendable practices, then it is already not a good practice in Islam. Okay. In the 5th principle, the means of development. The means of development also the same as conventional. Okay, also is the same as conventional, where natural resources is being looked as the means of development management. Okay, but different from conventional. Okay, in Islam, in development management, natural resources is not viewed as given. Okay, conventional, they look at what we have now. The natural resources is being given. So this is what we have. So we have to use it. We have to exploit it. We have to use it for development. Okay, maximize their utility. But in Islam, it is not given. It has the owner. The natural resources has the owner. It has its creator. And natural resources actually, what has been guided in Islam, in the Quran, we have a right. We have to really look into our relationship with natural resources. Okay, that are the differences between natural resources in Islamic development management with natural resources in conventional development management. Okay, so that is why I have discussed last week that in conventional management, in conventional development, they look natural resources as being scarce, limited, okay, very limited for human beings, that is increasing, and the ones is unlimited. So most of the discussion is on how to exploit the natural resources. Okay, but in Islam, okay, the position of natural resources is actually Allah has made natural resources sufficient for everyone. sufficient for everyone. Allah has allocated the risk for everyone, resources. And if it is not abundant, okay, the natural resources not abundant, so what Islam has teach us, or the Islamic worldview has teach us, that we have to limit the wants. Okay, we have to limit the wants. We have to really taken it into account on limit our consumption and try to be qana'ah. Okay, that is the concept of qana'ah. And also the natural resources in Islamic development management is not only look at the physical perspective, okay, at the physical perspective where the quantity is actually, we can agree that the quantity is actually can come to insufficiency. Okay, can come to a point where it is not enough. But that is this physical perspective. From the Tawheed perspective, we have the concept of rizq, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised the rizq for everyone in this world. Okay, whether the quantity is more in one person or less in one person, but everyone has been promised their rizq. And the second concept is the concept of barakah. The concept of barakah in Islam is that with just small quantity of resources, it can make us feel enough, feel qana'ah, okay, and not greedy, as compared to when we don't have barakah. Yeah, even we have a lot of resources, we can still find it not enough. Okay, so with barakah, it can lower our utility. Okay, and the concept of qana'ah has been outlined by Islam. And also we have consumption ethics, where we have to look first at the daruriyah level of consumption, and also the hajiyah level of consumption before going to tahsiniyah, and also the level to which come until it becomes unlawful for the Muslims. Okay, and we also have the redistribution ethics, where person with more resources should give to the less one through zakat mechanism, through sadaqah mechanism, through infaq and all. Okay, so from the Islamic worldview perspective, the means of development, the natural resources, is actually we don't look it as scarce, okay, but actually from the qualitative aspect, from the Tawheed perspective, it is actually enough for everyone. It is actually enough for everyone. And for the final principle, okay, final principle of development management, all that we have done for development management is to obtain, the ultimate goal is to obtain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rida, mardatillah, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are not going for physical or monetary aspects of development, okay, but what we seek is actually mardatillah, and with Allah's pleasure, He can give success to anyone He wants, okay, and He can also delay success to anyone that He wants. So that is the concept of Islamic development management, and the basic principles that was obtained, that is obtained from the Islamic worldview itself, and also from the Islamic epistemology itself. the 7 basic principles. And before next week, I will discuss on what is being outlined in the conventional worldview and how that takes us to what is happening in the conventional development management, inshallah. So I give back this class to Brother Shahlan, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Prof, for the detailed explanation. So we open for question, comment, or other input. Okay, we have a long one from Brother Nuruddin. Can you explain further about Atha's view that change, development, and progress in Islam refers to a return to original nature and religion?
Okay.
Okay. And then,
All right, yeah.
okay.
The change, development, and progress in Islam refers to a return to the original nature and religion. According to him, this is because Islam has matured since its arrival. This is not recognized by Western development concept, which feels that there is an evolution of a society that continues to change to become more mature from time to time. Okay, this is what is happening actually in the basic theory of conventional development, where they look at the highest aim of development. The ultimate aim of development is actually consumption. Everyone can consume. Okay, everyone can consume, or the mass consumption, be it the capitalism system or the socialism system. So in order to reach mass consumption, society have to change. Society have to change, and that is what they perceive as matured. Mass consumption and also highest productivity, okay, highest in income. That is where the society is being referred to as matured. But this is not so in Islam, because in Islam, our ultimate aim of development is not only to consume. The ultimate aim of development is actually to obtain mardatillah, and to give manfaat, to give the highest goods for everyone, for the ummah, whether through physical or material aspects or not. That is why in Islam, even if we can smile, it is a very good thing. If we cannot have, if we don't have money to sadaqah, even with a smile, because we have different aspects of development. We have different aspects of feelings for everyone. So material, physical is not the only aspects that we should come to aim. Okay, there are much more than that. There are things that have to be taken into account, that have to be used or to look into integratively besides the physical. It is not that I say we should abandon the physical, no, but we should integrate the physical with the spiritual aspect, with the intangible aspects. Okay, I hope that that would answer the question, inshallah.
Next one from Brother Aliyu Dahiru. Thank you very much. Regarding the scarcity of resources, can you elaborate? Because with scarcity, life will not be supported, because everyone has what he wants.
Okay. Without scarcity, life will not be supported. Okay. I'm not really understand. Without scarcity. So meaning that with scarcity, life can be supported, is it? So actually, if you look into the basics, the basic principle of conventional economy, the discussion on anything, whether the consumption theory, the utility theory, it circles around the scarcity of resources and also the unlimited ones of human being. So yes, if we look at the quantitative aspects, if we have a bowl of rice, it can finish. Okay, it can finish at one point of time. It can finish, but if we look at the qualitative aspect of it, usually, okay, we are for the adab of Muslim when we eat. Okay, we will start with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and with dua, and inshallah, with barakah, even a bowl of rice we can feel full, or even half bowl of rice we can feel full, as compared to maybe other people who usually have to eat 2-3 bowls of rice. Okay, so that is what is meant with we scarcity, but we have barakah in that. Okay, barakah in our money, barakah in our development, barakah in everything that we do. So we use a little bit, and we practice qana'ah, and we feel enough. We feel content with such a little things that Allah give. Okay, as compared to maybe we feel we are not enough with house with 30 rooms, for example, with cars, 2-3 cars of maybe Audi and all. So contentment is what makes natural resources can be preserved, okay, in Islamic based development management. I hope that will answer your question, inshallah.
Okay, Prof. It's very difficult to fulfill that. We want more buildings, taller buildings, and this and that.
Yeah, right.
It's not easy. Yeah. Okay, from Ustazah Halima, can the Islamic development management be an outcome of secular institution?
Can the Islamic development management be an outcome of secular institutions? Okay. Okay. My principle is that Islamic development management, it has to come from the Islamic philosophical underpinnings. Still going to use the word underpinnings. It has to come from Islamic roots, Islamic worldview, and Islamic epistemology. When it comes from secular thinking, then I would say that it cannot be as holistic and as comprehensive as it is supposed to be. Okay, because maybe at the operational aspect we can look at the various Islamic cosmetics elements, but at the roots it might be a problem there.
Yeah, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay, Prof. Our time is up. We have few good questions also from Fatah, Mustafa. I will forward to you. Maybe you can highlight it next week.
Yeah, inshallah.
Any concluding remark for tonight?
Okay, thank you all for listening and also for sharing and also for asking. Inshallah, we hope that this will increase more our knowledge, inshallah, and make us better, inshallah, in everything that we are trying to develop, inshallah, Brother Shahlan.
Inshallah. Okay. Thank you everyone. We'll see everyone tomorrow for